my first time too. But not the first time in the business. I've been pretty fortunate enough. I'm kind of a life in the business. Started back working at a bar in college. I got in Western Illinois University. Got extremely lucky. Got extremely lucky to be interviewed by a distributor for a campus rep job, meaning that I sold beer to college students. But what really just captivated me was walking into the warehouse and just seeing how everything worked, and I loved it. So I told them I would do any extra work if possible. So I delivered kites on Saturday, or helped on a truck if I had a class or in class. But one story I just want to say about a distributor that I worked for back a long time ago was I couldn't afford school, so I decided to keep working. And told the secretary, who happened to be the owner's daughter, "Hey Sarah, I'll take as many hours as you want." And she goes, "Okay." So I think I worked 42 hours. Friday was payday, so I'm sitting at the desk, and the owner of the distributor walks over, and he hears this. He goes, "How did you go to class and work 42 hours?" And he was a very intimidating man. Brewery Western Company, Home, Illinois. 6'4", that big. Ex-football player, ex-football coach. He calls me in his office, and only bad things happen in his office. So I knew I was in trouble. And to make the story a little shorter, he just looked at me and said, "I'm going out of class." And I said, "I can't afford it." He said, "How much is tuition?" I will date myself. I do remember that the tuition was $1,294 for 80 credit hours. Not kidding, that's Western. Harvard of the Midwest.
No, that's true.
And he goes, "All right, come with me." So we walk back to his daughter's desk. He goes, "Give me $1,600 out of petty cash." She counts it out. He goes, "Get back to class, register for this year, and I know you'll work this off." 2 years later, hotel restaurant management, and right away he goes, "Okay, company car, salary, and an expense account," back in '93. So that was kind of nice being 23 years old, and I just thought that was commendable what he did. And that's just how I got my start. I called on everything. I said I'd do anything, and one of the things is actually, Western Illinois, we were all the way to Carthage. I don't know where everybody's know which that is in Illinois, but there's also Springfield right there. So I actually delivered chemicals to Springfield 20 years ago. But unfortunately, in the beer business, which I don't know if many of the reps have talked about, but there's consolidation. And in 1995, sure enough, we got bought out by a bud distributor. And I didn't tell him that I was going to move back home, but I was. But this happened beforehand, and I felt bad. So what he did is give me a job back home at the distributor. So I went to go work for that distributor called Fear Distributing in Harvey. So I covered the west side of Chicago. Fun. But it was work, so it was great. I loved it. So Huyghe and Old Edition. And sold a lot of it. Well, April 27, 1997, that distributor got bought out. And on that day, they took 11 of us in a room like this. They said, "You 11 over here, over there." The other 70-something people were in another room. They all got let go. We went to go work for another distributor that day. So I may be one of the only of 11 people ever to work for 2 beer distributors in one day. And that was a great learning experience because it was all these distributors are family run, almost all of them, and that one was cold. So the one that bought is called Southwest Beer. Awesome. Unbelievable time. Spent 4 years there. We had Midway Airport as an account, which I believe you have here now. Yes. So there are some Christmases and Thanksgivings that I had to work to deliver. And then, sure enough, rumors fly, Miller's buying the distributor. So as this rumor's going on, this is when they kind of call it the dark side. I got an interview with Beck's North America and jumped to work for Beck's. Now this is back in 2000, 2001, and Beck's was rocking. It was actually it was a really good company, but had great times there. And then what happened in 2004? Well, Matt USA bought Beck's North America. So I got extremely fortunate before it happened. It happened in June, and again in April. Wetten started their own division. They're owned by Miller, but they separated, and I was the first Wetten rep for the Chicago area, which was great. We had the funds from Miller. Just didn't have a lot of the products, but that happens. Good company. Had a conversation with Jake Wetten, who everyone in the 2015. That's how on the spot those guys were. But Miller decided to rescind that program and let us all go. The worst was letting go. They hired another person from the suburbs of Chicago, and they let her go after a meeting on her way down on St. Patrick's Day. So that's that. So that happened. Oh, by the way, that was also the week after I went to Miami to watch the Bears lose the Super Bowl. So that happens. It's the beer business, so I go to Newcastle. So fortunate. Small company, great beer. We were just speaking how that was kind of our, cross of better beer, just to go into something more filling. I had the entire state of Illinois, got to know everybody in there, which was awesome. And in 2008, guess what happened? Huyghe bought Newcastle. Not making this up. And then obviously with the, this going on, blah, blah, blah. About 2 years later, I jump around for a little bit, and I get extremely now fortunate to work for Wetten Importers. Wetten Importers was started by Mark Wetten in 1992 because he just loved better beer. He started bringing all these beers over right away. He's constantly in Belgium, constantly in touch with everything in the market. He has worked in a distributor. He knows what's going on in the market. It's a great company. We import 5 Belgian breweries and 1 Austrian brewery. Austrian brewery is 7 miles from Eggenberg, so they were changed to that was 7 miles. But the brewery we're here to talk about today, anybody know the name? Huyghe. It's actually the Huyghe Brewing Company. Huyghe Brewing Company has been run by the same family for 350 years. Started in 1654. The only reason we know 1654 is because that's as long as people take artifacts going on. So the beer we're trying now, I believe, is Delirium Tremens. Delirium Tremens. It's a state of mind, correct? So what makes it, anybody read that at the bottom? If not, you want to read this? Anybody? Good catch. Right on the front. Elected as the best beer in the world. Not voted, elected. So what makes it elected the best beer in the world?
11.2.
Well, nowadays, I mean, we can sit here and vote a beer and it's done, but what makes it a special beer is one of the only beers in the world to use 3 different types of yeast in the brewing process. 3. Now, yeast is the backbone of beer. Beer school, you guys are veterans, only us 2 are the first time we've been here today, being first here, so, but it's phenomenal. What it does is it's going to give, I like to say that it'll give the 3 of us different taste buds that we react to. Right? It is considered a strong blonde ale. It was first brewed around 1986, and then launched in 88, and then in the United States, 1989. So a relatively new beer. All the bottles that you have, how many types of yeast are in there? 3. So how many times is there fermentation? Bottles have a secondary fermentation. So obviously the carbonation gives great taste, great body. Just a phenomenal beer. The color, like I said, blonde ale. Anybody have any questions on the Delirium? Does anybody not have it? First time having it? What do you think? Good. So, elected the best beer in the world twice. Once at the very first World Beer Awards. Now, the World Beer Awards, if you don't know, are in England, Germany, Belgium, United States. So it's not just one thing. And the very first one was in 1998, and that's when this was Second, on these, I'm not good enough to make these coasters, so obviously it's true. Stuart Kalin, if you don't know who he is, does anybody know who Michael Jackson is?
Yes.
The beer hunter. Stuart Kalin was kind of his understudy. So his first book is called The 50 Beers You Must Drink, and number one is Delirium. Just for that fact that yeast is such a cultivated and key part to brewing beer. In fact, in Belgium, almost all the breweries, except for Delirium, which I'll tell you in a minute, if a brewery burns down, you replace the water? Yeah. You replace the malt that's growing 50 kilometers away? Yeah. You replace the yeast strain that's been brewing for a few hundred years? No. So most of them are off-site. But Alon, who owns the Delirium Brewery, is a very outgoing guy, very proud of his brewery. And he basically has almost like an elevator shaft. I'm not kidding, the glass has got to be this thick. And almost in part of this tour, you can see, because that's how proud they are of their yeast strain. And it's not big, it's probably the size of this right here. Maybe like right here. But they're very proud. They also brew other beers, but the Delirium products are their flagship. Anybody know why it's called Delirium Tremens?
Delirium Tremens is the term for you get with alcohol involved.
That's true. That's true. So rumor has it that they had a couple names, and actually Delirium, they still moved forward with it. This is when they were going to import to the United States. And a couple of their long A names, I always forget, that they weren't allowed to bring in. So they had to sit around the table, and they're sitting around the table drinking and trying to come up with a name. And finally, the oldest guy in the room stands up and he goes, "Forget this, I have to go. If I keep drinking this beer, I'm going to get the Delirium Tremens." He walked out. And the rest of them just sat there and went, "Delirium Tremens." Yeah. So, another fun story. Why are the bottles this color?
Keep out the light.
That's also a big part of it. The true story is, all the breweries, and one of the breweries I represent is called the Huyghe Brewery in Mechelen, Belgium. It's the oldest brewery in Belgium. So I know you hear that other lager brewery in Belgium, nobody drinks lagers. But from 1369, like everybody has contracts with different suppliers, well, one of the suppliers is glass. So when everybody heard that they're going to go export nationwide, worldwide with Delirium Tremens, hey, I'm not selling my glass. Absolutely not. No way. They couldn't get glass bottles from any Belgian glass producer. So Alon is looking all over the place. He finds a bankrupt German winery, and those were the bottles. And when they poured that liquid out of that bottle, the light thing is the first thing, of course, that every brewery looks at. And that's why they want these bottles. So there you go. Now when you go in the store and everybody goes, "God, it's like a book bottle." You go, "Oh, it keeps the light on."
So I have a question. So you're saying that the Belgian glass makers didn't want their glass being exported?
They didn't want to take away the, yes, if the glass companies didn't want them exported. No, it was more that they didn't want to give them more competition because they knew the beer was amazing, and they exported a little bit where they knew exporting it and local is just going to make this beer phenomenal in all the stores outside of Belgium.
So they're afraid they weren't going to have enough for themselves.
Exactly. Afraid enough they were going to have for themselves. Selfish, but some of us may have done the same thing. So the pink elephant, obviously, is the logo of everything. And that started, again, family. The family brewery for, since when? 1664. 1654. And when Delirium came out, again, like the meeting that they had when the guy said, "Oh, you do Delirium Tremens," they also had to come up with a logo. Alon's oldest son's best friend was in art school. And they gave him 2 cases of beer and said, "You come up with a logo." There's a lot of people that give 2 of these bottles of logo, but he comes up with the pink elephant. And why? Because he got hammered, passed out, and saw pink elephants. And by the way, he flunked art school. So he's, that's a shame, but they go by, it's the history of the pink elephant. It's,
Talk about when they first started exporting it.
1989, December 26th, 1989. So, just to bring it up, how many years has it been? 16. What is silver in French? Anybody know? Argentum? Oh, give that guy. Argentum, very good. Guess what beer? Guess what the name? Guess what the name of the 25th anniversary beer for Delirium is going to be this year? Delirium Argentum, exactly. And they haven't given us much information on it, but that's going to be kind of the key repetitiveness, if you want to know. Belgian breweries don't tell you what's in the beer. If it gives it something specific, then they'll tell you. Like Delirium, they said 3 different types of yeast. Well, how many IBUs? How many of this? Do you like it? Is it good? You don't want to know. And actually, I was very fortunate to become friends with the head brewer for the brewery, and I have repeatedly backed him in the corners to bug him about things that are in it, and they don't say. So with Delirium, any questions on it? I never met him, but that's a great question. I'd love to ask that kid now. You know, like, what the question was, did you ask him how he saw pink elephant? And I think he probably just drank it like it was nothing. He just kept going. I haven't asked him, but the pink elephant, it's notorious. You know, social media wise, it's not what's the real name of the brewery? Huyghe. You know, and that's because it's named after Leon Huyghe, who back in 1906 became the next person to brew it, and they kept it with that name, even though it's been in that same family since 1654. But social media, you know, I just tweeted it, you know, because I respected not telling everybody what a beer school is, but I just tweeted them going, and it's actually a brewery. So anything in social media, right? You're exactly right. It's the Delirium Brewery. They know what it is. I mean, and they're phenomenal. Now, it's funny. We were talking about this, and I'm really like, another Belgian brewery, we were speaking, and they went, well, you guys are kind of an export brewery. What? Yeah, export brewery because you export so much beer. And that's not a bad thing because that's everybody wants to get more beer. So, in 2014, the brewery finally got a chance to expand. There's a historical shack that was right by the brewery. Even though it was a shack, and I mean no disrespect to it, they couldn't knock it down to expand. The brewery's been there since 1954. And you can only brew beer how long? 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And I can tell you right now, we run out of Delirium. But in 1989, that was also the 200th anniversary of the French Revolutionary War. And what did Mr. Guillotine invent in the French Revolutionary War?
Off with your head.
Off with your head, exactly. The guillotine. Now again, 1989, it came out with the guillotine as a celebratory beer for them. So it just became extremely successful. Why did it become extremely successful? It's a strong blonde ale, but it's a bitter strong blonde ale. Did anybody tell me why it's a bitter strong blonde ale? I don't know. Somebody said it. Hops, exactly. 3 types of hops.
like,
But one thing that I did get those guys to say, and they do say it now, like I said earlier, well, what makes it bitter? 38 IBUs. I can tell you, most people feel Delirium or any of your other Belgian strong ales, they're at 10, 12 at the most range. So 38 is on it. So 38 IBUs, Guillotine, and we just brought this one in. Like I said, within the last, late last year. Your state is great, but getting the products in here takes a while. So it wasn't like anybody didn't want to bring it in. It's that you and Michigan are just, it's just fact. But no, the Guillotine, and also the Guillotine, it's accepted a lot in culinary. I mean, think of food with this. It's really got the best of both worlds. It's got the yeast strain that Delirium uses. It's got a lot of full flavor. It goes great with any type of food. Any questions on the Guillotine? Yes, sir.
Here's the usually served. There's no head. You have the one named Guillotine.
Ah.
I just
oh, Daniel.
Yeah, no, we're extremely proud of it. I mean, it's a beer, like I said. Look at what they did. They decided to export it out of one of the number one exporting Belgian breweries. They came out with a beer because it was an anniversary beer years ago. It didn't stop selling. So that's the big reason it's here. Packers are great. The draft is phenomenal. Bottles are really good.
What do you guys think of this beer? Everybody like it? Wow. This is seriously the first group of people to taste this beer in the state.
That is true. That is true.
I hope everybody likes it.
So where did we go get it?
Here.
Well, that's a really easy answer.
Here.
Let me just tell you. Let me tell you something. Until next week, this is the only place. Right?
That is true. Until next week, it is only available here.
I'm also saying that we have it on draft here. Nowhere else, anywhere in the state until next week. So this is it.
Yeah, and I would almost go 2 weeks on that because it's going to hit here next week. So give it another couple days for someone to get in. So, right? Where's our rep here? There it is.
So seriously though, we really are the only place in the state you can buy this for at least the next week or so. So if you like it, I would get some tonight. And I do not just say that because I want to sell you guys beer, although I want to sell you guys beer. But if you like it, get some tonight, seriously, because it really won't be here next week. Unless I can get more next week, which I'm not sure what's the availability of this. When it becomes available, I'm asking on my rep around the corner here to find out.
When it becomes available, you have all year.
Yeah. You don't know when for sure?
No, unfortunately, I don't know if you guys have followed the weather on this coast. It's been horrible. And, like I said, we represent the breweries in Belgium, but we warehouse it in the States. So like any importer, it's on the East Coast. It's in Baltimore, just outside of Baltimore. So we bring it over. Anybody watch Family Guy? Anybody see one of the very first ones when they go to a brewery? They're like, oh, wouldn't it be great if you had beer that's never went flat? Here you go. So when we warehouse it, and when all that weather hit the last couple weeks, it's a busy time to win. We were behind a lot, and it happens. But what makes it great is you're the first to have it. So you like the name of the Guillotine? Top of you guys had any history majors? Anybody tell me any more about it? Anything? Teach me too. What's that? You thought it was humane or inhumane? Yeah, because didn't the Guillotine never work half the time? Did it? Yes. So you had a tip as you were getting, from the Guillotine guy, the cutter guy, here goes, to get, well, you're not really taking any money with you, I guess. So tipping started in France. So that's what I mean. If I tip somebody and I don't get the better service, I'm like, geez, I'm getting killed right now. You're killing me. What do you think of the music?
I think this is awesome. I love it. You guys like this? Yeah.
Yeah, and you know, not many beers like that. You know, when you say bitter Belgian, you know, it's easy. It can be very easy for me to say Belgian IPA.
It's not IPA.
But, you know, that's...
Maybe a pale.
You hear Belgian style by American breweries. I've never heard of a Picasso style. Belgian style. No, I'd rather go bitter Belgian because it makes, you know, like I said, you said no, and that makes total sense because it's bitter, and you said hops. That's what all that cool pop. Oh no, thanks.
Hey, by the way, you go.
No, the joke's in last. The joke's last. You want the joke now?
You're on another joke?
By the way, was anybody here last week?
In the second class?
No. The guy that did it last week, believe it or not, what was my first job? You know, as a campus rep for Western. Actually, I didn't tell you, for the Stroh's Brewery in Western, and that was my job. The guy last week was the bug rep at Western. We had mutual friends and lived across the street from each other. We worked in and out of, you know, we see each other, and, you know, we still the same distributors. So Delirium Nocturnal. So Belgium, there's pretty much two types of beer. Light and dark. You have two different types of beer. Light and dark. And that's kind of the basis, then we're on over that. So with that, it's Delirium Nocturnal. What's the classification? What do you guys think? It's pretty simple. You have Delirium Tremens, which is strong body out. Dark. Exactly. We'll make some dark. Oh, exactly. 5 different specialty malts in Delirium Nocturnal. All the malts grown within 50 kilometers of the hops. Delirium is 8.5% alcohol. If you have more malt, or you think Delirium Nocturnal, it's not. It's a little higher. A little more sugar. Yeah, it's the bottle. They switch all the time on stuff, and labels are wrong. There's some things. If you go to our website, which is Wetten Importers, I go to the brewery's website, it's there. It's not. I was doing an Easter. We had an Easter beer that is very small and limited, and I'm like, it's got 4 different malts in it. There's 4 different spices. That's 3. So, but Delirium Nocturnal, the sister one of it. Anybody know what Nocturnal translates to? Night Madness. Night Madness. Now, I can tell you this. How many people work in the art industry? Art, liquor, or anything like that? Okay. Sales-wise, Delirium, 85%, maybe, these are the numbers. Maybe Delirium, 85% of it is that. It's Nocturnal in the States. 80-20, to make it simple. Let's say restaurateurs, 50. They prefer the darker malt that's got a better flavor. You can get it. It's not as dense. The malt is very drinkable. But very good with this. very good. In fact, this would have been a beer, if we could beer dinner that we would normally finish with. Yeah. You have people that you can easily break it down, boil it. What's that called? Reduction. You can use it as a reduction. I've seen that done, especially with the meat. Very good with meat. Any questions on Delirium Nocturnal? What do you guys think?
Pretty good. Good in Tremens, but it's all right. Don't you like
Yeah, that's, when I was talking about, that's what makes Belgian beer specific, is their yeast strain, and that's what they cultivate, and that's why so one of them is used in this. Will they tell us what? But it is.
That's the connection.
Exactly. So there's 3 different types of yeast in Delirium. How many types of malt? 5. Want to hear a cool fact about the Brewery? During World War I, how many breweries were allowed to stay open?
That Chinese.
Remember, they used copper.
Yes. And it's like synthetic fuel.
Germans love copper for guns and bullets. It was just one. Was it mine? I don't know. It was not the Delirium Brewery. It was the Huyghe Brewery. Yes. It was the Huyghe Brewery. Yes, and those kettles are still up in the brewery right now. They take a tour. Just something that's kind of fun about the brewery. Where they really, gone to a worldwide brewery and get visitors from all over the world. I love it too when my company, actually, when I started, put my phone number on my website. That was great. The calls that came in were amazing. But a lot of it was, how do I get to the brewery? Where's the brewery? What do I do with the brewery? A few times a week, and I thought that was extremely gratifying because you knew that people were interested. So I would call them that. Yes? It doesn't really say. Oh, the question was, how were they allowed to stay open during the war? Well, breweries obviously also have other things they can brew. And right before it, in like 08, they also were brewing some juices. And I kind of think that's what it was. Do I know exactly the reason? No, they just said they kind of said that they picked one brewery to stay open. I mean, they're located in Bell. That's how you get it. That's a great question. Thank you so much for that question. Now, Mel Belgium. The original brewery, a lot of the breweries named their breweries on the lay of the land, and that was called Huyghe. So that's why when I say in like 1906, they named, he said, I'm naming it my family name. So that's how we know, okay, it was called Huyghe forever, and then in 1906 they went to Huyghe. Yeah.
I'm just curious to see how many people have had a Nocturnal before tonight. Before tonight, how many people have tasted the Nocturnal? So about half of us, maybe. This beer's been around a long time, I can tell you. Both the Deliriums, we've had this in bottles for probably 15 years. We've had it for a really long time. And even Delirium, as soon as it became available, at least in Missouri, we were, I think, the first people in St. Louis to buy that beer. I think that was in 98, 97 or 98. We were carrying that beer because the guy who was taking care of our beer at that time was a total beer geek. He was one of the few in St. Louis that were around back then. And he had a friend ship him some of this beer from somewhere. I don't know where, but they said, this is the beer that just won the best beer in the world, and I want you to taste it. He tasted it, and he was like, we have to get this beer. We have to do whatever we can to get it. So we made it happen, and we got it, and we've had it ever since. So anyway,
My rent thanks you.
yeah, and I think it was 98, I think, is when we first got Delirium. So
Yeah, they won best beer in 1998. Well, thank you for your support.
thank you for the good beer.
Oh, I like to say I'm just a plumber. I bring that. I I just bring
Doesn't
stuff.
bring in good images.
I just bring stuff from maybe.
I'm sorry.
Well, my family reporters, so I kind of give homage to them. I'm kind of the one that was not mechanically inclined, so that's my it's my resume.
You need a better background.
All right, I'm getting a little excited.
I'm at the point.
Oh, and the beer looks good too. So when this beer first got, they shipped a couple cases to the distributor that is closest to me. And when I was telling you that my phone number was on the website, I'm not kidding, 3-5 times a week. I had Delirium Red in Belgium. Where can I get it? Emails like crazy. So as a matter of fact, the reason my phone number is not on the website anymore is because of this beer. So when I brought it to my little local bar, I hadn't had it. And hearing good things and knowing what they put in it, took my first sip and threw it down and said, don't care, I'll never leave. I spent here too much time here anyway. Delirium Red, along with the Guillotine, right? The Guillotine, Delirium Red. Same thing. It was another beer for the 200th anniversary. What makes it red? Anybody take a sip? Cherries. What kind of cherries?
Sour.
Sour, exactly. Very sour cherries. Anybody else pick up anything?
Pie cherries.
You're right.
Pie
It
cherries.
is pie cherries.
Cherries for pie.
Strawberries,
Cherry pie cherries.
raspberries, and elderberries. So they were doing this in 81. Now, every year you don't know what the residual sugar content is going to be of fruit. So for example, if you see a lambic that just says 2.5% alcohol, well, they're using some sort of sweetener to make it that way. But if it says 3.5 to 5.5, then they're using just fruit. Makes sense? Because they don't know how the alcohol is going to react. There's a plant-based sweetener, if you don't know, it's called stevia. So they finished it off with stevia. So it's as close to a natural-based sweetener. So yeah, so the sour cherries, strawberries, raspberries, and again, it just came in. Like I said, I was doing this just months ago. I'm nice. Love it. What do you guys think?
Good. Love it.
I'm not going to tell you what company I work for, but there's a beer that had fruit beans in it. I can tell you, you take a bottle of this, pour it into a glass, you'll see some of the sugar. I'm sorry, some of the fruit present because it's real fruit. How they use it is they get like these 1-by-1 boxes. They're kind of partially frozen, right? So you're going to use the juice, put it in a cardboard box. And that's how they end it. But very closely regarded as a local thing. What happened? Top five. Literally, we ran out. First got in and lucky to have it again. Any questions? I did not say what the ABV is. So again, I believe on our website it says 8.5. But let's think about this for a second. The base, by the way, is what? Delirium Tremens. Exactly. It's really just the base of Delirium Tremens with the fruit added, stevia to finish it, Delirium Red. It's 8%. So if you have Delirium Tremens at 8.5, you had fruit, right?
Yeah.
Makes sense? So go by what I'm saying. I don't know. But unfortunately, sometimes. You guys like it?
You guys like this beer? Or how many How many people don't really like it, honestly? Not really your thing.
Did you have a lot of Michael that was like cough syrup stuff? You did, right? I'm not kidding. I asked that question. And it's, yeah, I did. And that's in your memory. And I totally get that.
If you like it.
Give it a chance. What didn't you like? Or what did you like?
The other three?
That's what I like to hear. God bless you. God bless you. You know, and a lot of it, you know, does anybody get almond fruit? Sorry, I guess strips or something. I love the fruit something, but you know, it's what's on the web now. Everybody's got that. So, Delirium's alcohol is what? 8.5. Nocturnal. I'm sorry. Well, the Guillotine is also 8.5. So, Nocturnal 9, and then red 8.
This is one of those beers you can take with somebody that says they don't like beer, and they'll probably enjoy it.
So I can give you the date. I know the exact date. I first had this to retail. So I want to say October 28th or 9th. Whatever the Thursday before Halloween was. It was a Halloween week. And so we're thinking food pairs, right? Thinking food pairs. So I got my table set up. I'm all ready, you know, okay. All of a sudden it just gets up. Oh, God, I'm starting. Look around, nothing's open. And it's about to start. So the only thing open, I grab. Bring back, I go right here. So we're eating it. I'm drinking my delirium breakfast. Barbecue pork sandwich. So I have a place now in Louisville. Not only does he reduce it, but serves a $7.50 with the cup package. For an extra $20, get that. I don't know, spicy Chinese food? But the easy part would be dessert, of course. Right? Nice reduction. That's what Carrick. Any other questions about the Delirium?
He's going to 43 minutes.
Yes.
Does Delirium make a session?
Does Delirium make a session? That is an awesome question. Does Delirium make a session? You know they make, in the United States, no. They do make gluten-free beers for Africa. Oh yes, in a way they do. They have a line called Florus. Florus, if you ever have a chance to have it, is phenomenal. Florus apple is it's a wheat beer, but take out 70% of the wheat and add red and Granny Smith apples. You know, so obviously you're not going to have any alcohol with this. So it's lower in alcohol. It's only 2.5. So they have like the lowest alcohol and obviously all the highest alcohol. Yes, Florus is available. Florus is available.
We had Florus on draft for quite a long time, actually. We don't have any more of those. We had Florus apple on draft for a while.
And actually, we're going to stop taking out draft. It's too, believe it or not, it was too good to put on draft.
Well, the other thing,
It makes sense. It just, they couldn't consistently keep it. God forbid it waits a day or two. You didn't know the reaction time. It was too tough.
but it's such a low ABV too, you kind of had a hard time. People didn't want to pay what they had to pay for it because none of these beers were cheap. You're not going to get a $5 pint of this stuff. But any of these things, it's just not really how it works.
It's just not going to happen.
So that was one of the problems with Florida too. That they expect that to be 6 or 7%, or else they weren't willing to pay $6 to $7, for a small glass. So, they just couldn't really sell it. But it was great.